Truth or Fate means we find over by the big board Vedika Bahl. Vedika, good evening to you.
Good evening, Mark.
Donald Trump sat for an interview with NBC's Meet the Press. It ended up with him storming off after he repeatedly made false claims about election fraud. So tell us what happened.
Well, Mark, the US president walked out of a taped interview with NBC's Meet the Press after he was fact-checked repeatedly by reporter Kristen Welker when he began spreading false claims about election fraud. Now, Trump falsely claimed that California's gubernatorial race was rigged, and then he began spouting more untrue claims about cheating in the 2020 presidential election. And the reporter Kristen Welker challenged him quite heavily on these facts. Let's take a listen now to that exchange.
It was rigged. It was a dirty election. And it's happening again right now in California.
Presented evidence.
It's happening right now in California. Right now, it's look at what's happening in California.
Where's the evidence to that? State and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote in California.
They're crooked, just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
really.
Let's
well,
continue.
You play right into their hands.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid. You know what?
Mr.
A country can never be great with a dishonest
Listen,
press.
we traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
So as we heard and we saw there, when she asked him for evidence of fraud in the gubernatorial race, he accused her he accused her and attacked her of being crooked. But regardless, though Donald Trump has long repeated these claims, he's never been able to find anything or been able to hold them up in a court of law, nor, as we can see there, give a straight answer about what the evidence actually is. And overall, Mark, NBC reported that Trump walked off about 50 minutes after he sat down for the interview.
Indeed, he never ceases to surprise, but somehow the surprise always seems like something we've seen in her before. It's a strange Trump conundrum. Vedika, there was also a tense exchange regarding his controversial anti-weaponisation fund. Tell us about that.
That's right. Just before he stormed off, they had a tense exchange about the anti-weaponisation fund, which is a now dropped plan to create a $1.8 billion fund to compensate individuals who felt that they were unfairly targeted or investigated by the government. Now, she asked him if those people who pled guilty during the January 6th riot pled guilty of assaulting police officers, if those people would be eligible for funding, a question that Donald Trump was very irritated and uncomfortable with. Now, he then claimed without evidence that the rioters were ushered into the US Capitol by FBI officers, and in fact that they took those plea deals out of fear of getting longer prison sentences. And then he attacked the reporter again when she said that there was just no evidence for this. Now, in fact, some of the most violent rioters from January 6th never even entered the building. For example, one of the longest sentences served was to David Dempsey, 20 years in prison. He was found to have thrown objects and makeshift weapons at officers. He was also found to have stomped on officers' heads, and this was all outside the Capitol building itself. And overall, just as Kristen Welker said during the interview, there's no evidence that FBI agents ushered anyone into the building. Now, there were 4 FBI informants, they're called, who entered the Capitol, but according to a report by the Justice Department's Inspector General, they were not instructed to do so by the Bureau. So again, a claim by Donald Trump that just doesn't have any evidence behind it.
And in this same interview, Trump also challenged about the war in Iran, to which she responded by, again, repeating falsehoods. Tell us more.
That's right. Just before he abruptly walked out, he was asked about the campaign promises he'd made, no new wars. Now, he responded by saying this. First of all, I didn't guarantee no war. And then he followed up later by saying, so when you say I promised, I didn't promise anything. I don't like these endless wars. This is not an endless war. Now, this is simply not true, because in 2024, Donald Trump repeatedly promised that the US wouldn't have any wars during his second term. There's Truth Social posts, multiple ones, in fact, from 2024, where he has said something of the like, this election is a choice between war and no war. But he's made these promises even more directly on the campaign trail itself. He constantly pledged to voters that should he be re-elected, the US wouldn't be involved in any wars or conflicts, to the point where in recent days, social media users have began sharing montages, compilations of Trump on the campaign trail where he's made those no war promises. Let's take a look.
I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
No more wars, no more disruptions. We will have prosperity and we will have peace. Under Trump, we will have no more wars, no more disruptions, and we will have prosperity and peace for all. I am the candidate of peace. I am peace.
Now, people can debate these comments and about whether Trump was talking about endless wars or what he meant. But if we go back to what he said during that NBC interview where he said, "I didn't promise anything," well, that just simply isn't true, because the record shows that multiple times he made an explicit promise about no future wars. And that's even if it's something that he's not willing to accept himself.